Naruto Storm 5, is it real? I'm gonna say probably yes. But is what we expect from a Storm sequel the same that will actually happen? This is what I said over a year ago. Back when we believed that the new Storm game would be a full sequel and not this half-step kind of thing that we got with Connections. And today I want to do something that I don't think we do enough anymore. We don't go back and check on what our expectations were a year ago, 2 years ago. And I remember this being a video where I said that some stuff needed to happen if this was gonna be a full-fledged sequel. Otherwise, it would be hard to justify a new game, and now look where we are. So let's see how good I did. Let's see how good these takes were over a year ago. And the first thing I'd like to see is a major new system. Something big that changes the game in a significant way. Yeah, about that. We're starting with the big one. I mean, forget everything else. I don't know what else I talk about in this video anymore. Knowing myself, I'd probably bring up the netcode at some point. But a new system mechanic would hands down be enough to shut down any kind of doubt. Something that fundamentally changes the way Storm is played. A new system mechanic is enough to justify a sequel. This is the big one, and I think this is the big one where they failed. I mean, the game will be played significantly different. Yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot more counters, we're going to be seeing a lot more aggressive play because you just have a ton more chakra available. And the big difference here is, if you look at what they're doing with Connections, they could have just applied it to a Storm 4 patch if they wanted to. And the proof's in the pudding. We are now making a mod, developing a mod that will release once it's polished enough, that really emulates every single mechanic that has changed in Storm Connections, but we're doing it in Storm 4. And we're not doing it with the developers. This is a party of modders. It's the team that brought you Storm 4 Evolution. And to be honest with you, it didn't take them long to kind of come up with this stuff. And I think if you look at Ichunka's channel, he actually already posted a different mod, one that he made himself, that might not be as complete as the one we're building, but you can already see some of that Storm Connections feel in Storm 4. So I don't think that's a very good look for CC2 or Bandai Namco. Now, naturally, they bring other things to the table. The modders were not about to upgrade the resolution to 4K with brand new textures. They're not about to make a new story mode, or at least new boss fights and new story moments in this new Storm game, because that's just outside of their skill set. This is not a video about calling CC2 incompetent or Bandai Namco incompetent, because I really don't think that. But understand that a lot of players, they don't care about that casual side of things. All they care about is the multiplayer. And from a multiplayer point of view, all that changed so far could have been applied in a patch. So it's not a strong start for Storm Connections, and a new system mechanic would have settled all of those disagreements. I've seen some of the community's wishes, and there are some interesting ideas out there, like having separate health bars for each character. Bring back jutsu clashes, bring back wall fighting. You even have some insane ideas like, let us create our own character. Okay. I'm against jutsu clashes. I think putting a mashing system in a skill-based multiplayer game is kind of lame. I don't even think the new Tenkaichi should have beam clashes, and that's like a staple of the series.
Do you know how expensive this piece of hardware is?
I don't want it ruined. Wall fighting could be hype if it is done in a clever way. I just don't trust CC2 to pull it off. For me, the thing I wish changed was the substitution and the combo system. One of the things that really turns me off of Storm is letting players make the same mistake 4 times in a row and not get punished by it, because they can always escape with a substitution. But it often feels like Storm is a game about baiting subs, and once that bar is empty, that's when the real game starts. So I'd like to see the substitution bar reduced to maybe 2 substitutions. That's not happening. I do still think that substitutions allow players to make the same mistake 4 times in a row. That puts them at a big disadvantage, but I still think that's the case. And I still think that Storm is a game about baiting those substitutions out of the opponent, so then you can play the game. But asking to remove that stuff is kind of asking for Storm to not be Storm anymore. So I kind of changed my mind a little bit on this point. So a new Storm game will most likely have a big change to its combat system. Will it be the thing I just talked about though? Probably not. Okay, no, it makes sense. I expected the new Storm to have a big change, just not the one I talked about. Fair enough.
I wasn't that dumb.
I was just hoping that the new Storm game would be an actual new Storm game. The next thing I'd like to see in Storm 5 is competitive polish. How come you cannot move while you block, because the character will perform a dodge if you try, unless you just don't tilt the left thumbstick all the way. If you feather tilting the left thumbstick, you can then jump while blocking and move around safely. This pisses me off so much. And this is still in the game, by the way. If you block, my block is on R1. If you move to the side, you will ninja move. But if you just move to the side like this, you know, like not fully tilting the stick, then you can jump, and like it jumps to the side. And the thing is, they are removing dumb inputs. I think the tilt input is also dumb as hell, and they are removing the tilt inputs. They're not removing tilts. Maybe they are, but the tilt animation now has become the second jutsu. But removing the tilt kind of speaks as to where their mind is at. Like, okay, this motion is not the most comfortable. Let's put it somewhere else. Fantastic. I love this change.
Why did you keep this then?
Make it clear what is intentional and what is a glitch, because I don't think this jumping stuff is intentional. It needs a team that's keeping an eye on the community on what they are doing and communicating these issues back to the development team so they can fix it. Okay, I think this is the first thing in this video that I say that will actually happen in Connections. I think Connections, and they haven't made any promises, but I think Connections is definitely the game where they're gonna have long-term support with Storm. They're gonna fund that support with DLC sales, and they're gonna keep balancing the game and making adjustments over time. It will be the Shinobi Striker story all over again. Game launches, terrible reviews, over time just becomes something that the community really loves and enjoys. And we still need custom lobbies. I haven't forgotten about those, okay? Let's talk Netcode. I fucking knew I was gonna bring up Netcode, man. Let me guess. I want to see some kind of improvement. I'm not even gonna ask for rollback. I'm just gonna say, please don't use the stuff you've been using all along. I like that you tried to do something with Demon Slayer, but let's try again, because that wasn't it. Look at My Hero Wants Justice. Let's see how right I am. With Demon Slayer, we saw an attempt at changing things, and Demon Slayer is able to handle long distances a lot better than Storm. I honestly don't know if rollback is the answer. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not gonna ask for rollback. Huh? I'm not gonna ask for rollback. But we've had good netcode in Arena Fighters before. My Hero Wants Justice 2 is probably the best example I can think of. Hey, I'm nothing if not consistent, alright? That's probably my number one wish, actually, but should we expect a better netcode from Storm 5? Yeah, I think it will be better, but I'm not optimistic about it being good still. Good answer! Yeah, I think CC2 is gonna make adjustments. They didn't tell me anything about netcode. Honestly, it's my number one concern, and also the number one thing that I am not expecting them to change, like, at all. Can we stop taking steps backwards on features, please? Did they remove anything? Oh, I guess there is one. Potential. I'm not sure about this one. I didn't mention it in the Storm video, but I didn't see any kind of assist types. So like strike back or chakra assisting or dash cuts, like the assists were just not doing any of those support actions. But it's possible that I'm either misremembering or I just didn't trigger those actions. Anime Expo is soon, and the public is gonna get to play it, so that's one of the questions that I would really like to see answered. I mean, they even removed spectator mode from Storm 4.
Oh, I swear to God.
If they remove the online features again. Before we even saw gameplay for Storm, they shared this screenshot of the multiplayer lobby. And the first thing I said was, I don't see a spot for spectators. But if they launch again without spectator mode, I don't know what to tell you. The story mode will be focused on Boruto most likely. That's kind of a given at this point. It is not a given, and it is actually confirmed to not be true. Story mode is not focused on Boruto. There is a Boruto original story that will be told, but the focus is very much Naruto. I mean, look at the cover. How many Borutos do you count here? They have made one of the best story modes that they ever did with Demon Slayer, and one of the things I didn't quite like about Storm 4 story mode was the heavy reliance on slideshows within the first half of the story, and the complete separation of free roaming and story mode, putting the free roaming in a separate mode called adventure mode. I'd like to see these two merged once again. I think so too. I think when you merge adventure mode with the big cinematic moments of story mode, you get a stronger, more complete and cohesive experience. Adventure mode is like, okay, we got the free roaming, but every fight kind of sucks. And story mode was like, yeah, every fight is awesome, but the moments in between are slideshows. What are we doing? But we'll see what their approach is for the new one. Do they even have an adventure mode? I don't think that's a guarantee. Now, I also think that every time they released a game, they made the free roaming worse.
Facts.
I'd love to see the freedom of movement return. Running around in Konoha just by itself has to be a fun activity. Yeah, moving around in Konoha as a ninja should be almost as satisfying as web swinging as Spider-Man in New York. Because that's what you do for most of the game, is you go from point A to point B, and that traversal has to be fun. And with ninjas, you can make that traversal fun too. So if you're gonna do an adventure mode, I don't think it's enough to make a beautiful Konoha city if all you can do is run at a fixed speed and not even jump. If all of this stuff actually makes it into the game, I will be over the moon. I will be over the moon too. Globku from a year ago.
And I come from the future bearing news.
This feels like kind of a half-step game, not a full-fledged sequel, so yeah, I guess you were right to not expect much. But don't you think for a second that I'm not excited about Naruto Storm Connections? I think at launch, a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Well, depending on how that story mode is too, we kind of don't know much about it yet. But I think people jumping into multiplayer are going to be like checking out these new characters and trying out some new combo routes, and then they will feel like the same old game within a week. What I'm excited about for Storm Connections is the long-term support. I want to see how they patch the game, how much they fix, fix, how much they balance, and every single new character that I played feels very, very different from the old characters, which to me is also exciting when it comes to DLC in the future, because they're coming up with some insane jutsu. They're very unique and nothing like we've seen before in Storm. But that's ultimately why I'm excited about Storm Connections. And if for some reason you missed the video where I tell you all about the new mechanics and what changed when I actually played the game, check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. This was kind of different, and I appreciate you guys watching until the end. Bye.